What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Another one. It's time!
Welcome back to another Thursday night. Today is Thursday, April 4th, 2024. We are here. We are winning as always.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Yes, addicted to winning. So, if you do not know who I am your host of the show and of the channel. I am Tech Coach Ralph, where, as always, we are engineered to win. That's what we do here. We are on the winning team. We build winning strategies. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And we are going to be focusing on the next few weeks, APIs and API testing, especially if you are a QA engineer. I've been testing APIs for almost the past 10 years now. The world is powered. I repeat, it's powered by APIs. Hopefully you had the opportunity to see the video from yesterday where I gave you an introduction to APIs, a concept and an overview, a quick way to get started, how to use it. But tonight we are going to jump into it live on air. You're going to see how I investigate, how I find new ways to learn APIs, and how you, yes, you, I'm talking to you, can also get the opportunity to learn APIs and use them, try them out from the simplest way to more complex ways. So that's what we're going to do. That's why we're here. You know, this is what we do on this channel. We explore, we learn, and of course, we have some fun. We have some fun. All right. So let's get into our agenda and then we will get into the show. So let's get to it. All right. So, of course, you know how I like to start off. I will have to say a big thank you so much as we are cruising on our way to the big 1,000 subscribers. Thank you to all of the newest subscribers, but as well, thank you to those who have been rocking with me from day one. You guys are absolutely amazing. I appreciate you all. Let's go ahead and give you all, the new subscribers, the existing subscribers, a round of applause. As well as a big salute to the tech barbarians. I have a story about one of my tech barbarians tonight. I have a story about a couple of them tonight, but during the breaks, we'll be talking about them. But my tech barbarians, they put in the work like honestly, the way that I coach, I just throw you. I throw you into the deep end of shark infested waters. And once I see you start to drown a little too much, I'm like, all right, let me come in. Let me throw you a one of those what are those floaty rings? Throw you one of those, help you out a little. But we, and they always seem to find their way out. So I am so proud of my tech barbarians. Let's cheer. Clap it up, clap it up. Let's cheer for them. All right. Now, let's get into real quick because I want to get into this API testing. I'm gonna tell you, I have been up since about 5:30, 5:45 this morning. Took a jujitsu course like I do normally on Thursdays. And then I jumped in, I jumped on a call with one of my tech barbarians to troubleshoot some stuff that we're working on. Then work. And then we did which I'll be talking about as well today during our break. I did my first QA meetup that I hosted, and we had an amazing conversation. That was just before getting on this live. So it's been a busy, busy day. So I will not be with you forever tonight. I don't even think I have any coaching calls scheduled for after tonight, but for after the stream tonight. But I'm just a little exhausted. But that's what I like though. I like the feeling of just laying it all on the line. When you feel like you have nothing left, and Dave Goggins said this, and I forgot what it particularly said it, but like when you feel like you have nothing left, and then you just give more. So just every single day, laying it all on the line, living it up like it's your last to say, what kind of impact can I make? So that is the goal. That's what we do here, and that's why I appreciate everyone who connects with me. And we're just here. We're here. We are out here. We are putting in the work. Okay. So let's jump into the live show schedule. We have our morning shows Mondays and Wednesdays. We start between 7:15, 7:45, and I call it coffee and kata. We have our cup of coffee and we review some news articles, and then we continue to work on our Flutter mobile development, where we are also doing writing our test as well, our unit test and our widget test. So that's been going great. We are at the brink of releasing the next beta version to the App Store before we actually deploy the app to make it available to everyone. I am a firm believer of you have to put your work out there and let the chips fall where they may. Whether you have negative feedback or positive feedback, feedback is feedback and criticism is criticism. And you embrace it all and you make adjustments regardless of what it is. So, and that is one of the reasons that I'm looking to put this app out there on the store, and whatever happens happens. But the journey is what's important to me, and learning how to build these mobile apps so I can continue to build more in the future, and as well as giving some future tech barbarians opportunities to work on different technologies. So I see myself as a pioneer. So join me in the mornings, Mondays and Wednesdays we start between 7:15 and 7:45, where we are working on building a mobile application, and feel free to ask any questions. And I just encourage you guys to follow along. Sunday afternoons, we have software explorations. We are focusing on Terraform, and this coming Sunday, we're going to continue working on Terraform and doing our AWS ECR, which is Elastic Cloud Registry, and Elastic Cloud Service, Elastic Container Service Registry, and Elastic Container Services, where we're pretty much using Docker on AWS so we can start applications. We're going to continue with that because eventually that's the technology that we'll be using for our WePass application. And then, so tune in for Terraform Infrastructure as Code. Tuesday nights, we have our Q&A sessions. We had an amazing Q&A session this past Tuesday night. So I'm here to answer your questions and interact with you. We always have an amazing time on Tuesday nights. And then we have Thursday nights, like tonight, we have software explorations. Now for the next few weeks, we're going to be focusing on APIs and API testing and how you can learn it and experience how to practice. So that's what we're going to start on tonight. So one more time, I'm going to run through this real quick. The morning shows, Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Coffee and Kata. Sunday afternoons, we're working on software explorations. We are going through Terraform Infrastructure as Code. And shout out to Michael Jenkins as well, one of my tech mercenaries, but he was also hanging out with me on the the QA meetup call, and we had an amazing time. So always I give a big shout out to Michael Jenkins. All right. So yeah. So then we have Sunday afternoons, Terraform. Tuesday nights we have Q&A sessions, and Thursday nights we have more software explorations focused on API testing right now. So now we just zoom down into our pre-recorded content. Mondays, candid conversations. This past Monday's candid conversation was a tough one. The more you complain, the more you will continue to lose. And I don't want to see you losing. It could have easily been named less complaining, more winning, or less complaining, less losing, right? I want to see you win. I want to see you win. The question is, do you want to see yourself win? And as you continue to complain and stuff like that, it's not going to happen. So Mondays, candid conversations. Wednesdays, software explorations, concept and overviews. This yesterday we released our first video on APIs and API testing, giving a breakdown how you can get familiar with APIs. Got some amazing comments on that, and I look forward to this live stream and the next few live streams that we're going to be doing on API testing and how to gain more experience, how to automate API testing, some different strategies. So looking forward to that. And then Fridays we have the Bug Bite. Tomorrow's episode of the Bug Bite, I'm going to use my whisper voice because I don't want everyone else to hear it. But we're going to be talking about, can you go to jail for what you watch on YouTube? Can you go to jail for the content you watch on YouTube? That is going to be an interesting one. So tune in for that tomorrow and let's have some fun. And then throughout the week, I release shorts and clips from the Q&A show Monday through Friday. So tune in for that. One more time, Mondays, candid conversations. Wednesdays, software explorations, concepts and overviews. Fridays, the Bug Bite. And then throughout the week, shorts and clips from the Q&A show. All right. So something out here for everyone. And hopefully that if you feel something's missing, do not hesitate to reach out to me. All right. I am looking to give you whatever it is that you need, whatever I can help you with. Okay. So that is where we are at. All right. Let me go back here and see what we already we got Mitch in the building. What's going on, Mitch? And I gotta turn off the bot. Not the bot itself, but I gotta turn off because we already had the QA meetup. So let me get rid of that one. Disable that one. All right, cool. Because we don't need that one. What in the world just happened here? All right, let me get rid of that timer. All right, it's off. Cool. Perfect. Okay, so we are moving on with the agenda. All right, yeah, well, I'm ready to get started. I am ready to get started. So before we jump into it, if you haven't done so yet, do me a huge favor. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every single time that we go live. All right. And whenever we drop new content, because I drop a lot of content, I have built a machine that we can continue to provide information on productive content on a daily basis, just so it can help you grow into your tech career, your tech path. And as well, if you need additional content, if you need additional help, one-on-one coaching, go over to www.techcoachralph.dev, where you can sign up for you can get exclusive content as well as sign up for one-on-one coaching with me. So whatever you need, I got it. All right. So let's get to it. Next up, we need some energy. We need some energy because I need some energy because it's been a long day, a long week. So
please offer me your energy. I ask of you, please.
All right. So we are going to jump in. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go here and we're going to say let's put up our timer. And we're gonna put our first 20-minute segment. Let me go to Google. Our first 20-minute segment.
It's time to duel!
And by the way, Mitch, how's it going? How are you doing tonight? Happy to see you here. It's been a busy day. And trust me, I was eyeing it and I was like, you know what? Mitch said this is not good for me. And Mitch is always looking at it. He says, don't resort to those energy drinks. I have not. So Mitch, you're keeping me accountable and I am not going back to those energy drinks. All right. So we are going to go to our other screen. And the first thing I want to search for is, so I'm just going to do a basic search. And it's going to be, how can I practice API testing? Right? So this is the very first thing you should do is like do a basic search of like how you can get some experience, right? And so like practice sites for API testing. So this might be a good one. Is there a dummy API for testing / practice? Things like that. So start searching and start reading around, you know. But one that I became familiar with in like throughout the years is there is a website called HTTP bin, right? So if we pull up, just search for HTTP bin, and it is going to be, so the first site, httpbin.org. And what you come up with is a website where you can make requests. And they're very basic requests that pretty much just returns what you send, right? So if I click on this one, for instance, and if I send this, let me see if I try it out. If I was to send a GET request to httpbin.org/get, it should return to me, let me see. It will return to me the request query parameters. So let's say we click on execute, right? If you send like this request, it should return to you this. That's the idea, and that's the concept behind it. So this is a very, like, although it's very basic, it's a good way to get started. Very, very easy to, like, you send something and you get something back. So what we're gonna do, we're just going to, this is Postman. So the tools that we'll be using tonight, so just to get you started, right? We'll be using Postman. I'll pull up Insomnia. So I'll be showing you some different tools that I use that you can use as well, so that you can actually make API requests and things like that. And then we're going to be talking about HTTP bin, and then we're going to be giving some exposures to Docker and how you can do this locally. Talk about Rapid API, which I showed briefly in the video yesterday, and then how we can approach API testing. So that's pretty much what we're going to be looking into tonight. But let's start off with the basics. So I'm going to pull up Postman here, and then we'll do it in Insomnia and Talent as well, right? So here we have HTTP bin. So we have so let's try to mimic this. So let's go here, and you see how this request URL httpbin.org/get. So we have the same thing here, https://httpbin.org.get. And when we say, we just do a send to that, and now we should get the response. So if you look at the response here, the user agent is a browser, but here the user agent is Postman, and it just returns to you like all the information that you're sending. You see, it returns like the IP address that I am sending the request from. Some key here. Okay, so say we get rid of this because that like whatever you send is going to return it back to you. So that's why we have this here. And so let's go ahead and look at this now. So let's say we want to see a delete request. And this is a good way to start getting familiar with the different requests. Okay, so there's a bunch of different request types. So we have our methods, right? HTTP methods. We have the delete, we have the get, we have the patch, post, put. Okay, so what I would say to like to start getting your mind wrapped around this type of stuff, you want to start to go through each one of these, and that's what we're gonna do. We're going to let's try it in Postman. We're gonna do Postman first, okay? So we have our get. Let's do https:// http bin dot org/delete, and then we're going to change this to delete. And if we send, we should get a 200 OK, and we have all the parameters that are necessary for that delete. All right. So, and then we can now let's do this. Now I'm going to pull up Insomnia, and we're going to give me a second to pull it up. These companies ask for validation at the worst possible time. All right, so we have Insomnia up. I'm about to bring it up on the screen, but we are going to all right. So okay, so let's bring that up. So now this is Insomnia. This is just a different tool. They're making it more and more like Postman, which I used to like the simplicity of this tool, but whatever. So this is Insomnia. It's just another API tool that you can do to send requests and stuff like that. So now let's use Insomnia to let's try out the post method. So we're gonna go to this one. So I'll say the ones like that you'll end up using the most is probably gonna be the post as well as the get. I'm not gonna go into detail about like what each of these methods do because I spoke about that in in the software explorations video yesterday. So if you need more information on what all of these methods do, I would highly recommend that you go and you watch that video. But when working with APIs, I would say post and get are the most common ones, and then you might start using like put or patch every now and then. I like we don't normally use delete much because we don't really like deleting data like that. But get and post are like the most common ones that you're going to be using. So what we're going to do, we are going to take this and we're going to say we're going to do a new HTTP request, and we're going to put here https / and httpbin.org, and we're going to say /post, and we're going to change this to a post, and we're going to say send or I think we have to put a body actually. No body. Okay, interesting. No body. So let's do send, and we have our response here. So it's saying that pretty much the same information that we had from the other one. User agent insomnia. So based on where it's sending, the user agent pretty much tells an application where or what type of device or application is being sent from. So we have our user agent, we have the host, all that stuff over here. So and then we have the put. So like I said, you should definitely go through each one of these methods and just follow along with what needs to be sent. So send the delete, the get. So this is the method that you'll be using, and this is the endpoint over here. Okay. So now let's take a look at authentication. And let's say we do, and pretty much what's going to happen here prompts the user for authorization using HTTP basic auth. So what authorization is? It's like what gives you permission to access the API, things like that. So all this stuff you want to get familiar with it. So let's go back to Insomnia, and we're gonna go to this. So this is a get request, right? You see get right here. We're going to change this to get, and we're going to say http.org/basic auth. And then let's say we go with user, and then we go with password. Let's see how this is working. Let's say we go to try it out. Let's say tester test password. Let's see how it shows up in here. Okay, so this is gonna pop. This is kind of I haven't seen this like this before, but let's say we do tester test password, sign in, and you get a 200. So if we were testing this endpoint out, right, we would want to, let's say we go here. So let's try to send this because I'm not really sure what's going to happen in this case because here was in the browser. This is in Insomnia. So let's say we send this. And so 400 unauthorized. Okay. However, what if we were to go into headers or parameters and we say user and we say test user, and then we do another one and we say pass and we say test password. What if we send this and we still get a failure? Interesting. That's interesting that in the browser it gives us this pop-up, but here, let's take a look at this. So basic auth tester test password. authenticated user true. So let's try that. Let's see. Oh, wait a second. Let me see something. Well, let's see. Tester test password. And if we delete this or uncheck that, see what we said. So it's not giving us any indication of why it's failing. Basic dash auth tester test password. So this one prompts it, but I would expect it to. There should be a way that you should be able to authenticate via the application. Let's see. Request URL. And it's supposed to be a GET request. HTTP bin tester slash test password. Let's see if I just put this in the browser, what we get. I'm wondering if it's because. Let's take a look at this. Because we had to log into it. Let me see. Let's go to application. So I'm just doing some troubleshooting now because it's weird that it's actually working. So let's go execute. Here, I would want. So let me see if I go to auth and I say basic auth and I say tester test password and I send that. Okay, so all right, so that's what it is, right? So this is basic auth. So the username and the password must match this here, right? So this is, and like normally when you're testing, you're not gonna come across this. Because if you did, that'd be like very insecure and poorly built. But in order for us to get familiar with authentication, we want to be able to use the basic authentication here, like we're doing. So, and this is just to test some security, which is very important, especially if you're building an API, right? If you're the QA engineer when building an API, this is very, very important. And one of my tech barbarians, they were I'm coaching them through working with a startup to build experience, and we came across that like the API for the startup we're working on, like it was lacking some security measures. So it was a great find by my tech barbarian, and working with the startup so they can get it, so they can lock down their system, because if you deploy an application without the proper security, it can be catastrophic for you. Not only that can it cost you a lot of money, because let's say they just start spamming your API and it's running up the cost in your hosting providers, as well as it can be putting like false data out there, so you got to be very, very careful. So security is a big part of QA, and this is a great test to get familiar with it, right? So this one, we added the basic auth and we have the tester and the password. So this is like definitely like I would highly recommend, like, you spend a good amount of time going through HTTP bin so that you can try all of these different, right? These different types. So let's look at the next one, which is bear. So it says the path is just bear. and authorization. There. So here are some testing strategies, right? Do an unsuccessful one where you get the 400, the 401 for unauthorized, and then you do a successful one where you get 200 for authorized. So
Lunch break. Lunch break.
a huge part of API testing is the status codes, making sure you're getting the right status codes, you're getting the right error messages. And part of the automation is like when you send the request to the incorrect, with the incorrect information, you make sure you get the 401 and you get the right description or like response. And when you send the correct one, that you get the correct, you get the correct response. So very, very important that you have these different testing types. Try sending the user like with a blank username. Try sending with the blank password, incorrect username, correct password, correct username, incorrect password. All those different variations. And the thing with APIs is they go through it very, very fast. Okay, so let me just do this bearer one, and then we'll go to break. Okay, so let's go here, bearer. And we're gonna have to, so first and foremost, let's go ahead and disable this, and we should get a 401, right? Exactly what we wanted. And now if we go to basic and we go to bearer, and we do authorization header. So let's say we do A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what happens with this. Boom, there we go. Our token is ABC 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have our 200, and we have we've authenticated to the API with this token right here. And you can easily automate all of this stuff over here and building some amazing API experience. Not the most exciting API, but it's definitely a great way to start building some well-needed experience with API testing, because I think that's a big part that many QA people are lacking, especially like, if you're going through a boot camp and you don't really have much context on APIs, what its purpose is, then you definitely want to watch the video from yesterday, as well as start playing around with a basic API like this, okay? When we come back, I'm going to switch to the other API tester, which is called Talend, and we can start playing around with that one. And that one is a built-in API tester within the Chrome browser, all right? So I'm going to go to full screen. And I'm going to say, so far, let me know what you think. Are you finding this helpful, meaningful? Like, APIs are for everyone. Like, I don't know, Mitch. I don't know. Do you use APIs in your day-to-day work? I mean, I know they're very relevant to like data engineering, data analysts, and things like that. But I'm just curious. Do you use it do you use it like from time to time or on a day-to-day basis in order to pull in data and like for the type of work that you do? All right, so let me know, Mitch. What we're gonna do now, we are gonna go to our 5-minute break. And the first thing I wanted to talk to you about during our first break, or what I want to talk to you about during our first break, is give a recap on the QA meetup that I just had not too long ago. Like it was about an hour or now it was about 2 hours ago that I conducted the QA meetup that I've been sharing about, and it was amazing. We had about like 8 to 10 people on the call, and we're just talking. So the things that we covered is like our experiences in QA. Like there are people from different journeys. I've been in QA for 15 years. I've been in tech for 20 years. We had some people who've been in there for like 5 to 6 years. They were sharing their experiences. We have my amazing friend Michael Jenkins, who is also a technically a content creator, but he creates tutorials and courses, and he has them on like LinkedIn and Pluralsight, I believe he said. And he was on the call, and he was sharing about his experience. He's not in QA, but he works with a lot of QAs and supports a lot of QAs in the architecture and infrastructure work that he does. And he was sharing about his experiences. We had some people who are taking boot camps or in school, and they're sharing their experiences. So it was a great all around. We talked about tool set, and I'll share that I use a lot of Docker. I use Python. APIs like we're talking about tonight, Terraform. I even forgot about, like, yeah, we use Jira, we use Agile, we use Scrum. So many different tools that we use that they just kind of flow and facilitate. And so yeah, we talked about tools. One of the people on the call, they are doing mobile testing, which is awesome. And there's one of the tools they shared was, I forgot the abbreviation for it, but it's like ICTU. It's part of what is that? Xcode, because they do mobile testing and automation for iOS, and they're moving into Android. It's just great information all around. And then another person on the call, they use Cypress, and different, like, so many different opportunities to share and to, like, bring everyone together. Then we spoke about some challenges that we might be facing in QA or in tech in general, and it was just how we can collaborate, how we can help each other out, some different ideas, and just going around, like, so the people who might be transitioning into QA, what challenges that they faced, and how they overcome those challenges. Just building a community of, I'm gonna come up with a name for it, but just building a community to, where the people with more experience, we can still help each other out, but also looking for the people with, who might have lesser experience, and trying to gain experience to be able to communicate with one another. One of the things as well is seeing how QAs who's been doing it for a while, how they think through things and stuff like that. So pretty much bringing, like, the mindset and the ideas that I have, that I show on this channel, but being able to interact and communicate with people on a smaller scale, where we can just, like, throw ideas. Very informal meeting, very informal, just hanging out, getting perspective from different people. And then, like, the way that I finished it up, I wanted to get the learning styles of everyone, and the overwhelming sentiment was, like, we learn by doing, like, we take a hands-on approach. I think that's a common trait amongst QA people, because we're so used to testing, and, like, seeing things work is our forte, and seeing things not work is also our forte. So trying to figure things out, troubleshooting, but getting our hands on it. One of the things I said, which you see me do here all the time, I like those quick and easy wins. So as soon as I set something up, I like to run it and see and get that immediate feedback loop that says that, okay, yeah, this is heading in the right direction. And if it's not working, then keep at it until it does work, and okay, now I can move forward with my life. So, and pretty much everyone shared the same sentiment. One thing I shared is, like, I like what you see me do all the time, but it's to
Get a move on. Back to work. Chop, chop. Let's go. Come on. Get a move on. Back to work. Back to work. Back to work.
it's to follow documentation. But, like, find a tutorial to get a quick start guide to get something working, and then go back and forth between the documentation, Stack Overflow, just, getting it to work. Like, my number one goal is get it to work, and then we continue to make it better. And then the way that we ended the meeting was talking about different networking ideas, what they would like to see in the future, if they had a good time, and pretty much everyone said they enjoyed it, they had a good time. But one thing that we're going to be looking to do moving forward is have a problem, like, that, like, see, okay, what problem are we trying to solve? Like, someone might have a particular problem and try to help them solve that problem. Maybe have a topic around it. So this was the very first one, getting some feedback. We had some amazing people join. So, great connections, great opportunity to network and build this QA network, QA force. Because one of the comments that somebody made is, like, from what they've seen, the QA community, or there's a lack. There's not even a QA community. There's a lack of a QA community, because you know, and I can see how people can feel like every QA person is on their own, because you might have a team of four developers, and then you have one QA person. So although you can talk to the engineers and to the developers, but where do you get your support from? Because there's a lot of things that developers and engineers, product managers, product owners, scrum masters can't really help QA with. So if we can build this network, this community, where we can bounce ideas off of each other, that maybe that's what we need. So I don't know. Maybe it might be time for me to start a Discord. I don't know. I shall see. But it was great overall, and I really appreciate everyone who showed up. And I'm going to really think about how we can do this more often. I don't know, maybe on a monthly basis, or maybe by like every other month. Is that bi-monthly or that's bi-weekly? I think bi-monthly is every other month. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna see, because like, you guys know how my capacity is. But if I could find an hour to an hour and a half to squeeze in there to hang out with my QA folks and build that community, I am more than happy and more than willing to do it. So just wanted to give a big shout out to everyone who joined the call, and I look forward to this growing as well. All right, let me read the comments and then we will get back to the show. All right, let's see. We have Mitch. It's been a long week, Mitch. It's been a long week. So you don't use APIs? That's interesting. That is interesting. The solutions designer role. Okay. I like that. Let's see. We have Laura. Welcome to the show, Laura. Laura says, I am looking for a QA community. Exciting to hear this. In that case, let's okay, so I am gonna do this again. I'm definitely gonna like make it something that is gonna be consistent. I'm gonna figure out the cadence, because like the days they just like run on and on. But I'm gonna find, and then you can join us. Like, so pretty much we did it over Google Meet. And we're just on there talking. What I'm going to do, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, I recorded it, and I'm going to put it on, I'm going to put it as open to everyone on my Patreon. So like free people, like anyone who even free members, they can be able to watch it back. And because the QA meetup that I'm doing is going to be open to everyone. It's not like Patreon exclusive or anything like that. And that way you can watch it there and see how it went, and you can go from there. And then you can like join us for the next one. And I'll always I'll post it on YouTube and on Patreon and whatever Discords and Slacks that I'm in, so that because I'd love to have you for the next one and hear your feedback, your insight. Like, and if you can tell me now, are you in QA now? Are you transitioning to QA? Just, curious to hear a little bit more about your journey. But yeah, that's awesome. I would love to have you. I'd love to have you in that community. And because I do see that there's a lack of QA community, and, we can build one, and we can be like the QA Avengers. Maybe that'll be the name of the community, QA Avengers, So we shall see. All right, let's get back to our API testing. Okay, so let's put up another 20 minutes on the clock.
Let's go!
All right, so we are going to go back to here. So now we're going to try using a different, let's try to do this one, and then we're going to jump down into like status codes. So the other tool, which we can just do it like this, right? Let's do here, and let's do Talend API tester. All right, so we have this Google plugin right here, right? It's just and I already have it installed, but if you didn't, you just do install it here, and it's gonna give you this check mark over here. If you don't have the check mark, you can always find it under like your extensions, and then you'll see you'll be able to pull it up, right? But I'm gonna click on it, and it's going to pop this up over here. And what we're going to do is we are going to do, not this one. We are going to do, so let's expand this. So this is going to be, what is QOP? I have no idea what QOP is. Auth or auth int. I've never done digest auth, but let's try it out. So we're going to say try it out. And if we were to take this endpoint right here, oops, and in Talend, we do HTTP http bin.org/ and then, oops, we don't need this part. We don't need get over here. So digest, and then if we put like, let's say we put 1. And let's see here. Or should this be? Let's try this real quick. User password. Let's try it here, and then we'll put it in Talent after that. So user password. And we scroll down, and we get 200. So one of the cool things about Talent, right, is that it will pass in your authentication in here into here. So if we do, what do we do here? We did 1 user password. So down 1 user password. Send, and we have a 200. But if we were to do the same thing right here inside of, and that's one of the cool things about Talend, right? Because if you authenticate inside of Chrome, it'll pass that authentication to Talend. But if we were to go into, let's go to Postman, and we were to do another one of these, and we would paste that here, like this should fail from my understanding. You see 401 unauthorized, right? Hopefully you can see that. But 401 unauthorized because we didn't have to do this here, but because like we're not authenticated in Postman yet, it's not going to go through. So if we go to authorization and we go here and we say digest auth, and we say user and password, and we send that, try to send that. And now we are authenticated, right? So we see authenticated true user, and we are good to go, right? So see so this is one of the cool things about Talend, but there's a lot more you can do with Postman and Insomnia, and passing like endpoints and stuff like that. So it's a tool for like quick, easy API requests, but you're not going to be able to do the most with it. All right. So let me see what Laura said. Laura said, transitioning into QA, took a boot camp, but looking for more quality learning and support. Awesome. Well, you are definitely at the right place. You can comment on any of my videos, ask any questions, and I will be more than happy to answer. And sometimes like there's been people like this whole API testing series that's coming up came about a comment that was left in one of the videos saying, I would like to learn more about APIs. And now we're going to be doing a whole series, maybe the next month or two, doing different things with APIs, how to get into automation on APIs. So you are definitely at the right place. And I really, really appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you.
All right. So, and if you have any, like I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I am here to help you. Okay. So now let's go back to HTTP bin. And let's take a look at, so we got this, so we pretty much got this done, right? Let's jump down into the status codes. Like status codes are one of the most important things that you're going to run across in using APIs and testing APIs, getting, verifying that every request has a status code. And the status code can say a lot. Like, and one of the things that you're going to want to learn as a QA engineer is, what do these status codes mean, and how can you advise, like, jump into, like, participate in the conversation on, are we using the right status code for the proper we're using the right status codes for the request. So what I'll probably do in an upcoming software exploration video is go over the different status codes, because inside of like the 200 responses, there's like 201, there's 202, and they mean different things. They mean they're successful, but they can be successful in different ways. So you could get a 200, you can get a 201, you can get a 202, and they mean different things. There's a series of 300, there's a series of 400s, there's a series of 500. So we just want to, like, one thing we'll do, like, I've never seen a response code in the 100s. But I've seen 200s, 300s, 400s, and 500s, and we're definitely going to dig into that, because that's going to be very, very important. But let's try this out, right? So we haven't done a put and a patch yet. So let's try the put and the patch. Okay. So we're going to, let's say we do, and it's just going to return the status code that you send. So let's use Talent for this. Okay. We're going to take the same thing over here. We're going to say status code to make sure I got it right. It's status, or just status. Okay, just status. And we're gonna just send we're gonna do this as a put. And we're going to do 200. Or I can change, let me change it to a patch for now. And let's send this. And we get a response of 200. Now, let's say we did I think it's 301 for redirect. And now we get a 301 and location redirect. Let's say we do a 401, which we saw that's for like it's for a status that is 401 is for unauthorized, right? So here we're gonna get 401, and if we were to do 405, which is a method not allowed, that's like if you're trying to send a put, but put isn't allowed on that endpoint, it would give you a 405, right? I believe that's the one that it is. So, and this is, we're just returning different statuses, right? So if let's say we did a 500 error, which is usually, I think 500, like, it can be a variety of things for 500s, but it's usually like a internal server error or something like that. So there we go. And for X and giggles, let's do a 100 status code, right, for information. And this one gives us a 100, or it gives us no response certificate valid. So I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen a 100 before, but apparently it might be something. And using 101 gave me a 200. I don't know, but let's move on from that. Okay, so what else do we have down here? Let's do the same thing with put real quick. It's gonna give us the same thing, but it's still good to see it happen. Let's change the patch to put, send 200. Let's go back to Postman, and let's change this to status. And we're gonna put the put, and we're going to say code no auth, and we're going to say status code 403. So 401 is for authorization. 401 is for like, I guess you could say it's authentication, although they say authorization. But I think 403 is like the permission, like, do you have access with your, like, even though you're authenticated, do you have authorization to do what you're trying to do? All right, so this one returns a 403 forbidden. So So and in Postman, it gives you a description of the error messages, right? So 403, the request was a legal request, but the server is refusing to respond to it. Unlike a 401 unauthorized response, authenticating will make no difference. All right. So 401 is unauthorized, meaning you don't have the permission to be here. Authenticating will make no difference. All right. So even if you authenticate, it doesn't matter. So now if we do let's say we do a 405, let's see what, so 405 method not allowed. A request was made. A request was made of a resource using a request method not supported by the resource. For example, using get on a form which requires data to be presented via post, or using put on a read only source, right? So that's pretty much what we just saw here. But let's say we did a 201. I think 201 is accepted or created. Let's say we do 202. What's 202? 202 is accepted. The request has been accepted for processing, but the processing has not been completed. The request might or might not eventually be acted upon, as it might be disallowed when processing actually takes place. So pretty much 202 puts it in a queue. And it says, we've accepted the request, but it doesn't mean that it's actually going to be finalized or go through. So that's like, let's say something something takes a long time to process, but it gets ingested. You might get a 202 response saying, okay, we've got it, but we'll see. We'll let you we'll let you know if it's actually gonna be finalized. All right. So let's see what the 200 is. 200 is just okay. Standard response for successful HTTP request. The actual response will depend on the request method used. In a GET request, the response will contain an entity corresponding to the requested resource. In a POST request, the response will contain an entity describing or containing the results of the action. And the thing is with this, right? So this is the stuff this is what I'm talking about, like where you can start to think about, are we using the right method? So if something is not done, but it enters a queue and they put a 200 status code or a 201, then your question is, should we be using a 202 instead because 202 is accepted, meaning that it entered the queue, or should we be using the 200 and things like that? Same thing with authentication and authorization. So if you use a 401, and like let's say you are authenticating to the system, like you're successfully logged in, but you don't have permission. So now the question is, and you're getting a 401, the question is like, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Developer, should we be using a 403 of forbidden not having the permission to do it, even though that you are logged in, versus the 401 saying that you just like you're not, like you can't connect, like your username and password is wrong. So if your username and password is wrong, you'd be getting a 401 unauthorized. If your username and password is correct, but you do not have the permission, then you get 403. So those are the things that you have to think about when it comes to API testing, or one of the things that you have to think about, like the status codes, the authentication, different things like that, right? All right. So let's see what else they have on HTTP bin. So status codes, we ran through that. Let's go with don't want to go to that. Let's see. Response format. Yeah, I don't like there's a lot of different things in here. I don't think we really need to go into this part of it, but I'm surprised they don't have a. Let me see something. Post. So let's look at the post one more time. Let's say we go here and we change this to a post. And we do post. What I want to see is is it going to return the body that we're sending as JSON? Is it going to return it to us in the response? Data. Yes, it does. All right. So that's what I wanted to see. It does pass in the data that we're sending. So that's good. And then there goes the JSON of what we sent. So all right, this is good. This is good. All right. So let me see. What do we have next up? So I think what we're gonna go to next is going to be. So we looked at Insomnia, we looked at Postman, we looked at Talent API. Oh, okay. No. So the other thing I wanted to give you some exposure to is you see this right here. You can run this locally using Docker. So I guess I have to start up Docker. I'm getting Docker running. I'm going to open up a terminal. All right. So the other thing that we can do is that we can run this little application locally. And now what ends up happening is we get some exposure to Docker because I'll tell you this, as a QA engineer, the biggest disservice you can do to yourself is not getting familiar with Docker. Docker is super, super duper important. And I'll tell you about this during our next break that's coming up soon about how I am getting my tech barbarians immediate exposure to the tools that we use on a day-to-day basis in the industry. Docker being one of them. Like I love that. Like, I absolutely love Docker. And I've done videos on like series on it, on how you can get more familiar with it. So if you're not using Docker yet, it is totally your own fault, right? But we're gonna run this command right here, so that we can also have a local implementation on of HTTP bin, and you can easily say that I started a Docker container locally and I was able to connect to localhost to test something. That is an amazing talking point. I highly recommend it. Right. So, I'll drop. Let's do this. If you haven't done so yet, I'm going to drop a link to Docker in the chat so that you can start getting familiar with it. You're going to install Docker Desktop, whether you're doing it on a Windows or a Mac or even Linux. But you really want to download Docker, install Docker Desktop, and then like I have the M1 chip on this laptop, but you'll choose your respective your respective like operating system and install that. And once you do that, you're gonna go to where is it? So I'm just gonna run this command over here. Docker run -p. P is for port. What port do you want this application to run on? And then I'm not gonna run it on port 80. So because port 80 is my web browser. So, well, did I do that? Let's find out. Let's find out. 80. So the outside port, I believe in Docker, is the one that you're going to access it.
Lunch break. Lunch break.
That you access it from your computer, and this is the port, and the inside one is the port that is running on in Docker, right? So we're going to try this. This 80 might not work because usually that's reserved for the internet, but we shall find out. And we're going to do Kenneth read /http bin. Let's see what happens. So it's not able to find the image, so it's going to download a copy of the image. So right now it's pulling the image, and this is a crash course in Docker. Who would have thought? Right now, crash course in Docker. So right now it's pulling the image down, extracting the image, and it is started. All right. So now if we go to localhost :80. And look at that. We have HTTP bin right there on our local host. So if we were to go here and we were to change this to localhost slash, let's do get, for instance, right? And we send that request. No S, no HTTPS, just HTTP. We send that request. Boom! Look at that. Look at that. We have our get request, and we're running it locally. So in just 30 seconds, you are able to run an API, like connect to an API on your local machine using Docker. So you've got exposure to Docker. Now you got exposure to API testing. Now you have this site that you can use and try all these different commands. And as a QA engineer, think about the different ways, like different commands, like different ways you can do some positive tests, some negative tests, things like that. Using this little tool right here that's supposed to help you get like so much more familiar with APIs, right? So let's go to full screen. And let me know what you think so far. Are you finding this information helpful, useful as you get into your journey of using APIs? Like, one thing that I'm really, really big on is API testing, because the structure of testing, like the testing pyramid. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And let's see if I can find a good picture of the testing pyramid. Okay, so let me see. So let's do this. Let's start our break, and then when we come back, we'll go straight into the testing pyramid, and then we'll continue with the next steps. Right? We're gonna be going to like Rapid like we're gonna look a little bit more about the local host, and then we're gonna go into Rapid API, and then after that we might either wrap it up or do one more segment. So we'll see. We shall see. All right. So let's go to break. Let's put a 5-minute up, and let me take care of the chat real quick. So, Greg, welcome to the show, Greg. Thank you. So Greg was on the call, on the QA meetup call with me. Not like now it's about like 3 hours ago. And let me know what you thought about. Let me know what you thought about the call. Let the chat know what you thought as well. So Greg says, "What computer do you prefer over the other, Mac or Dell?" So I'm going to say, like, years ago, I would have never said this answer, but I'm going to say I prefer doing my development work on a Mac. The reason I like the Mac is because, well, number one, they're very sturdy, and they and like on the Mac, there's a bunch of limitations that like, especially with software and stuff like that. But as far as like developing and QA and stuff like that, I really like using the Mac. The tools are like, it's, for me at least, it loads a little bit faster. It's I don't know. It's, for me, it's just more development friendly than using Windows. But at the end of the day, a lot of times you don't control that. The company that you work for is going to control what you're working on. Some companies are very Windows heavy, just because of their ecosystem and their infrastructure. And then other companies, they might favor Mac. Another thing with Windows computers, they're a lot cheaper than Macs. So companies, like, depending on the type of work that they do, they might be more open to giving you a Mac or a Windows computer, just because the cost and stuff like that. So so it's I prefer Mac at my company. They give us some really powerful Macs because of the type of work that we do with like videos and processing and stuff like that. But at other companies, I've had so my last company, we had Windows, but it was more of a, not as much of a technical company as it was a pharmaceutical company, but they weren't like that tech heavy. Although I would have loved to work on a Mac over there. And then the company before that, we were on Macs, and the company before that, I was on Windows. So I've been going back and forth. but I have a Windows computer here. But I'll tell you this: there are more like if you hardware wise and software wise, there's probably a lot more options for Windows. Who else? Angry said, especially when it comes to downloading and working on these different programs. Yeah, like everything. I'll put it like this: almost everything that's on Mac, they have it for Windows. A lot of things that are on Windows, they don't have it for Mac, right? But when it comes to like development and stuff, you're gonna be able to do it on Mac. I have all the tools that I need. Like, if I never live stream, and I just did development all day long, I would have all the tools that I need on the Mac. All right, so I'll put it like that. Let me see. Angrick said the call was very insightful. One doesn't want to miss. Shout out to. And then Mitch says Apple is trash. Um, did you get rid of your iPhone yet, Mitch? Anyways, and it says, does one need to have a Mac brand new, or does used work fine in your opinion? I have Macs are very, very sturdy, but I will tell you this. I have so a relative of mine, they are very knowledgeable about Macs, and he said never buy one of those like the 2017 to 2019 Intel based Macs because they had like a lot of problems with the touchpad and stuff like that, or with the touch bar. But those like if you get a used M1 chip or M2, you should be all right with those. Like check on Back Market,
Get a move
backmarket.com.
on. Back to work. Chop, chop. Let's go. Come on, get a move on. Back to work. Back to work. Back to work.
I'm gonna put another 5 minute break because there's a topic I did want to hit. But check on backmarket.com. Definitely read the reviews because and I'll show you one of the things I saw on Back Market, right? Because I was looking for like I'm always looking for like different tools and stuff because I might end up upgrading this Mac at some point just so I can have a little bit more power. But let's go to so Back Market, like they sell like refurbished kind of used type stuff. I've bought some things off there. Like I got like when my wife needed a new phone, I went on there and I got her a Galaxy S21 or something like that. But let's see if we go to MacBook. So this is what I just want to warn you about this because you have to be really really careful when dealing with these type of people. So I go to MacBook Pro, and I was like, I want the most powerful MacBook, right? And I said, let me see. If I go to, let's go to price high to low, and it was this one right here, right? So it's not this one because this one has good reviews. There was one. Maybe they took it out, but there was one on here, right? Where the people like the reviews said that they asked like it was supposed to be 96 uh gigs of RAM, but they got one that was 32, right? And so you just gotta be you gotta be careful, you know. I might not be able to find it anymore, but it was very slick stuff. It was very slick stuff, you know. So um and people were like really upset about it, and I'd be upset too. Because if you tell me I'm going to get 96 gigs of RAM, I want 96 gigs of RAM because that's what I'm paying for, right? So, but yeah, maybe they fixed it. I don't know. This one looks promising, but it was like something around here, but I don't see it anymore. So definitely want to. Oh, it might be this one. Yeah, see, look at that. Might be this one. So let me see. There you go. Look at that. The company doing this listing has a fraudulent listing saying it's an M2 Max, 96 gigs, but it's really an M2 Pro with 16 gigs. And people were complaining about it on the reviews in September, but Back Market kept the listing up. I made a mistake of not checking the reviews first and ordered the computer only to get caught in the same fraud. Right. So you definitely want to be careful with things like that. And like if I was a like quick to make orders, I probably would have got like this, but you know, I take months before I make these decisions. I'm always researching. But yeah, so like that's something like you do have to be careful with. Like make sure you always read the reviews. Because you don't want to get got. All right. And Gregory says the only thing probably with the back market website, do you still get warranty? Yeah, they give you a they give you 30 days to return it, and they give you 1 year warranty. And I think you might be able to buy an extended warranty as well. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what they have. If we look at this one, although I would probably want a 16-inch. Let's say we go to add to cart. Let me log into this thing. Let's see. You can buy additional coverage for an additional 2 years for $300. But it does come with a 1 year warranty. Defects, ship it back to the seller. So definitely something to consider. Definitely something to consider. All right. So I'm gonna throw up another 5 minutes on the clock because I did want to talk about this during the break. But yeah, like it's an option. Before I throw up the 5 minutes, Mitch says no man should have all that power.
Shoot, mate. What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Yes, I want that power. And Galaxy, now we talking droid life forever. And I'll tell you this, like I personally, I don't like iPhones because I just don't have like, I don't know, I feel limited when I'm trying to use them. So I love my Android. Like it's, I don't know, but I've been using Android since like 2008, and I've always had like, I don't know, it's just I can do more with it. So but yeah, so I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that, Mitch. And you know, Trey can stick to his iPhones and stuff like that and be limited in his capacity. But I'm with you on team Android when it comes to phones for sure. And Greg said I enjoyed the Mac desktop over the laptop for doing this kind of work. I agree with you. The desktop is more powerful, but I just like to be mobile, you know. And with the MacBook Pros, like with the laptop I just showed, like if you were to like with 32 gigs of memory, 64 gigs of memory, it's like working on a desktop. And then like the Mac Minis are pretty good too. Like I got one of those for my wife so she could do video editing, and that's been working pretty solid as well. So Macs are just pretty powerful and strong. So yeah. All right. Let me put up another 5 minutes so that because I want to talk about this because it's very important just to give you some insight on the type of things that the tech barbarians do. All right. So let me see, where's my notes? Okay. So here's a story. We'll call this tech barbarian T. And I've been working with them for about 2 to 3 weeks now, and the way, like I told you before, the way that we do the coaching is you pretty much it's like you get hired by a company, and you join into the Scrum process. You get your onboarding, your orientation, and then you just start working, right? So in the first like 2 to 3 weeks, and the reason I'm sharing this story is because like this morning we jumped on a call, helped them to set up their environment. It turns out that the reason that it wasn't working is because the environment file that they needed, it was commented out in the git ignore file, and so they didn't have the environment set up. Like so, once I was able to see that, we got that up and running. But the idea, the sentiment from my tech barbarian from T was, let me see exactly what it said. It was, so yeah, it was like, this may be a small victory, but it feels amazing. And I was like, you know what? I want you to understand this. It was not a small victory because in the past 2 to 3 weeks, you've never done any of this before, but this is what you've done. You were able to install Git, you were able to install Node, you were able to install npm, the Node package manager, you installed Docker, you installed Postman, right? So that's one thing. But after that, you also cloned a repository for the project. You set up the MongoDB Docker container. You're able to start the project successfully. So you install the modules and you're able to start the project successfully and access it. You access the application locally. You are able to use the API for the application to start testing, and you're able to use the necessary tools to connect to the database, to the Mongo database, to make sure what you're adding via the API was actually showing up in there. And then you found an issue with like the configuration, and you were able to troubleshoot it so we can get it working. So the reason I wanted to highlight that story is because so many times, especially like when we're learning something, we diminish the amount of like the work that we do, the greatness of the work that we do. And why, when we're learning something, that we kind of like limit ourselves, or we think we're moving slow when we're if you're walking through like a swamp and it's like really thick and hard to move through it, and then you get to the other side, why are you thinking about, oh man, it took me like a whole hour to walk through it, when I'm happy that I got to the other side and I made it through. And that, like, I embraced the victory. And for something that you've never done before, for you to do that much, like, and that's why I always say, have inventory about all the stuff that you do. Always have inventory, saying, and like, and that's why, like, you should also always continue to update your resume, right? Say, I did this, 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 and this. Wow, that's a lot. I really did a lot. So one of the and I didn't get a chance to talk about this because we were running on time, Greg. But in the meeting, when you mentioned about you recorded the video of like writing test cases and stuff, that is an excellent idea, an excellent strategy, and you should definitely edit it, put it on LinkedIn, put it on YouTube, put it wherever, so that you can get feedback and you can show your work and put your work out there. And those are the type of things that I encourage people in QA in general, but my tech barbarians to do. Dive in, figure these things out, and share it. Because when you're able to do it, that's great. But when you can share what you're learning,
Move on, back to
that's
work.
even
Chop,
better.
chop, let's go. Come on, get a move on. You're back to work, back to work, back to work.
So what I wanted to highlight on is for my tech barbarian T in particular is going into a realm that they've never been to before, and to do all of this stuff, it's huge. And what I told him as well is what I told him as well. You like in the past 2 to 3 weeks, you've done a lot more than a lot of people who are trying to get in QA have done in 6 months, a year. Because a lot of times, here's what happens a lot of times too, right? People will they'll finish a course, whether it's Coursera, Udemy, whether it's a boot camp, and now all they do all day long is apply for a job, and they don't gain those necessary skills that they need. And I'm like, all right, cool. You're definitely gonna apply for jobs, but you're gonna also put in that work so that you can stand out and separate yourself from the rest. And that's why I keep my group small. Because once it's full, it's full. But I keep my group small because I can actually like focus and dedicate my time to the people who want to win. So that like that's and that list of stuff that in 2 to 3 weeks that they've done, it's massive. And we continue with that agile Scrum methodology and cycle where we meet every 2 weeks and we bring in new stories, new features, and that way you have that real life experience. And maybe one day T is gonna like, okay, I'm comfortable. I got a job. I don't need to work on this project. And then I might have space for another person to cycle in and get that same experience and value that T is getting, but it's all about building. It's all about building experience, so it is what it is. All right. And all right, we're gonna get back to work. Probably do our last segment. Because like I said, I'm tired. But Greg said, save a spot for me, please. Once I finish the bootcamp internship, I am joining soon after. Hey, the spots are open, but I can't make any promises. But I think you'll be good. I think you will be just fine. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get to another segment where, let me see, what are we going to work on this segment? We are going to do Rapid API. All right. I showed a little bit of Rapid API in the video yesterday, but we're going to navigate around it a little bit more and get a little more insight into it. All right. So let's put up another 20 minutes on the clock.
It's time to do.
So, when I was learning Python, right, one of the things I did was I said, let me build this little NBA application, right, where it would get the scores of the games as well as the starting times and the standings. And I use Rapid API to do this, right? So if we go over here, we have for instance, yesterday what we looked at was the business one and the realty in the US. They have like Zillow, Zoopla, apartments.com, a bunch of stuff, right? But let's look at sports, because if you like sports, then, and one of the things that one of the people who were on the call said was like part of their learning style was to work on projects that they were passionate about, which is like, I'm all for that. Like in the morning show when I'm working on Flutter, I wanted to, like, I have a couple of things I wanted to build, right? One of, like, I started off with the keto calculator, but I was like, you know what? I want to do it in test-driven development. Let me build out the app for the time cost calculator first, because I already did the web version of it, and I know more about it. I know the formulas and stuff like that. So let's go with that one. So so that's how we got into doing the time cost calculator, and like I'm really passionate about that time cost calculator, and it's going really well. So I'm sure like there's many people who might be passionate about sports. So when we look at sports, there's these different categories over here. If you're into is cricket, um, there's there's a basketball one, football, golf if you're into that. Like this one has all types of sports. So you could click on, let's say we click on all sports, right? And it's gonna load, and it's going to um so here on this side, it will show you all of like the sports that they have, right? So let's say we expand. So football is probably soccer because this one says American football, but they have esports as well for like I guess video game sports or whatever. Um, so American football, and then it has like American Football League home events, home team events, American Football League total team events, all this type of stuff, right? So we can look at one of these. Um, and I'll go ahead and I'll disable this API key afterwards. So if you think you're going to like run up my API calls, then not's gonna happen. All right. Let's see. And I also want to see what other categories that they have as well. So let me go and pull something else up as well. Let's see what's under food. I'm curious to know what's under food. So you can get like, so there's recipe, food nutrition APIs, the meal database, the fork, the spoon, queries the best restaurants and meals around the world to create traveling site applications such as the fork. Okay, that's pretty cool. Burger Hub. This API returns kinds of burgers with their name, image, price, ingredients, etc. Oh, this might be a good one as well. Recipe by API Ninjas. The Mexican food database, Mexican food recipes with high quality images stored on AWS S3 for fast accessibility. Ooh, that sounds fun. So, like I said, like if you are a foodie, there is API for that. If you're like vegan recipe database, you can get if you're into that type of stuff. Beers list, a list of beers from many European countries. Um, so this is very cool, right? Very, very cool. Let's go. Let's click on this one too. Let's see what they have under this one over here. So we have burgers. What do we have under get burgers? So what is the response that would get for burgers? Don't know. Get specific burger. So this one will get you a list of all the burgers, I suspect. Yeah, this endpoint returns all the burgers, and then get specific burger by the burger ID, and then search burger by the name. Right. So I'm a little bit curious about this one, to be honest with you. So what we can do, we can spend the remaining time. Because let me see, what did I have anything else I wanted to go through tonight? Whatever we don't get through tonight, we can push it over to next week. Yeah, so because the only thing I had left after Rapid API was how we would approach testing APIs, which we can definitely push that into next week. Next week we can go more focused onto like the API testing approach with the schemas and the database entries and stuff like that. Maybe I'll set up a I don't know, I don't know. I'll have to see what I can set up. But either way, um we can focus on these two APIs real quick. So what I'll do something very, very cool. We're gonna go and subscribe to test this one, and we're gonna do this one of subscribe to this 10 requests per day hard limit. 1,000 requests per hour. We're not gonna get that. So we'll do this and we'll say subscribe to the burger plan. And we'll also do the sports one right here. So let's do subscribe. And we'll say subscribe to the and you see I can do this for totally for free, right? They always have like the freemium ones, they'll give you like a X amount of requests per day. I think that this one was just 100 that we just got. Um yeah, 100 for this one for the all sports and 10 for the burger, right? So let's go to burger, go to endpoints. And one of the questions that I got on the comment on a comment for yesterday's video, right, which I said I was going to address tonight, was how did you know that you should use JSON in Postman, or and what the request should be, right? So we'll talk about that as well. So let's pull up Postman then. We're gonna go to create a new one, and we're gonna go to let's look for the burgers. Okay, so we're going to say, well, I guess we're not gonna be using JSON in this one, but we're going to do let's get the endpoint. So the host is this right here, burgers-hub.p, and then we're gonna do /burgers. So let's do, or I can just copy this right here. So URL is your endpoint, method is your get method. So we go here and we say get, and then we put this here, burgers-hub. All right, and then we're gonna do /burgers. And now we need to copy our host key. And we say headers, and that's going to be called, all right, let's just paste that in here. And let's just get this here. X rapid API key, that's for authentication. Right, so now if we send this get request, we should be returned with a, hold on, copy this right here. Make sure we get that right. All right, so we have our endpoint, right? So our URI, our base URI, and we have our endpoint of burgers, and we have our API key in here. So now when we do send, we get a list of burgers. And the only reason I chose burgers, right? This is the only reason I chose burgers, because I wanted to I wanted to make Mitch hungry. That's all. That's the only reason I was like, you know what? This sounds like really cool. This might make Mitch hungry. So here we are. Okay, so if we look at the burgers that we got back, let me know. Got back a lot of burgers. We got back a lot of burgers. But if we look at it, we have let's make this a little bigger. So we got bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. That's not a burger, right? It's not a burger. But they also include images. If we were to copy this right here, and we're to go to here, now we have a picture of the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, which is not a burger. I repeat this. All right, here's a poll. I have to put a poll in the chat. I know it's kind of late, but now that we're here, I have to know. Let's go to here. I want to go here. Let's copy the name. I'm going to put a poll in the chat. And that poll is going to be, where are we? Add a poll. Do you consider a bacon, egg, and cheese as a burger. All right, I put a poll in the chat. Do you consider a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit as a burger? I personally don't, but curious to see what you think, because I was kind of thrown aback by that when I saw that. But let's see what else we got. We have, and you see how you can see so let's like you could actually take this API and get a list of burgers, and you could like build something based off that where it's displaying the description, it's displaying the picture, like the small picture. That when you click on the small one, it can open up the bigger one. Like let's say you have a some type of, I don't know, application, like some web application where you're pulling all this data from the API. And then it even has pictures of the ingredients, right? So this is a very useful API, although I don't consider the biscuit to be a burger. But see? And Egg McMuffin? That's not a burger. That is not a burger. An Egg McMuffin is not a burger. Sausage McMuffin, which are good, but still not burgers. Let's see. Deluxe crispy sandwich. I'm starting to get offended by this. Spicy crispy chicken sandwich. See, now we're talking quarter pounder with cheese. All right, hold on. What is this right here? This is a Big Mac. That's a burger. But what I see happening here is these burgers must be sold in California. $10.45 for a Big Mac. $10.45 for a Big Mac. How about the quarter pounder? How much is the quarter pounder with cheese? Is that $6? Well, that's more like it. $6 for a quarter pounder with cheese. That sounds a little bit more realistic to me, but that's still kind of expensive. I remember I used to get quarter pounders with cheese back in the days for like $3. $3 for a quarter pounder with cheese back in the days. What is the world coming to? But yeah. Let me know if I'm off. All right. Let's see. So there goes the burgers, and so if we were to do, let's say we take another endpoint, get specific burger by its ID. So if we were to do, so it's gonna be the same endpoint, but we're just gonna add like the burger ID to it. So if we go over to Postman and we take the ID number 12, so if we go / here and 12, we are going to get the fish, or the filet o fish. The filet o fish. Also not a burger, but more of a sandwich in my books. But is it the patty that makes it a burger, or is it the buns that make it a burger? Things that make you say, That's what I'm wondering. Is it the bun that makes it a burger, or is it the meat content that makes it a burger? Because if you have a ham and cheese sandwich on hamburger buns, that still seems like a sandwich to me. I don't know. You let me know. I'm curious to know. What are your thoughts? You know? I don't know. I don't know. Some people are very particular about that because here's another question: is a hot dog a sandwich? You can let me know. You can let me know that in the chat. Like, I'm not gonna make a poll for that, but is a hot dog a sandwich? I don't know. I don't know. All right. So this is so we just got one by ID, and then I think the last one is search burger by the name. And this is going to be we're gonna add a parameter. Oh, okay. So we're gonna add a parameter. And this is how we do the parameter. Now this is good. This is a very, very good experience right here. So if we were to have, but let's say we leave this as burgers, right? Is it burgers? Let's see. Find burger. So the endpoint is now it's going to be find. Oh my goodness. Find burger. And now we're going to pass a query parameter. We're going to put Q, and we're going to add to this. Let's say we do fish, right? And now you send this request at, is it find burger or find burgers? Find burger. Search query Q. Search chicken. Endpoint find burger does not exist. Really? .com find dash burger. That should work. Let's go here. Let's try this. Find burger. Should work. Let's go here and then query parameter. Let's say we do search query is Q and search is, let's say, fish. Let's send that. This find burger doesn't exist, but I see it right here. Very strange. Let's test out the endpoint. Oh, so now look at that. We found an issue on the Rapid API endpoint. Although it's listed here in the documentation, the endpoint actually doesn't exist.
Lunch break.
The endpoint actually does not exist. All right. So what we're going to do, so look at that. We just had a quick and fast test of, like, not even test, but of using this endpoint. We're able to get the get specific burger, and we're able to do burgers, right? Really, really cool. So let's do this one real quick. Let's go to endpoints, and we'll just do some sports real quick. Being that it is college basketball season. I wonder if there's a college basketball one here. Let's say we do basketball. Let's see what's under basketball categories. And I think with Rapid API, most of these requests are going to be GET requests, right? So, I mean, you get pretty familiar with GET requests, but they're not, they're not like, you're not gonna do a lot of posts and stuff like that because post is like you're submitting to something and you're not really gonna be submitting to these. You're gonna be retrieving information, but it's still a great experience. Great ways to get familiar with like using like Postman, Insomnia, Talent API tester, getting familiar with GET requests, passing in parameters, doing your authentication. So let's say we take this endpoint and let's use Insomnia this time. Let's use Insomnia. So we go to here and we're just going to drop in here and we're going to put in our, we don't need that. We're going to put in our parameter for, or header actually. We're putting our header for, where's headers? Headers. And we're going to add one. We're going to put the X rapid API key and we're going to drop in this bad boy right here. And we're going to send that. And we have a list of categories: international, sport, basketball, Poland, etc. Right? So let's say what else we can get. Let's say we go to basketball live matches. And we're going to do, I think we just need this part right here. Matches live. And let's go take out tournament, take out categories, and go matches live. And let's send that. And we have tournament, NBA, category, etc., etc. And it's giving you the status of all the games in progress, right? So what if we didn't want the NBA? What if we want to see college basketball? Is college basketball on here? That's a good question. Let's see. Let's see. So it returns a lot of data, but I don't know. Let's see if we search for NCAA. I don't see any NCAA in this one, which I wanted to find NCAA, but maybe it's not here. Let's see. I mean, NCAA might be under here, but it's also possible that let's see, what is this all sports category flag? But like you get the gist of it though, right? You see how like I'm able to query different things for basketball. So let's say we do playoffs top team. And we just go in here. And there you go. You have like you have data. All right. So I think we are at our limit for tonight. Let me check the poll. So we have 5 votes. And all 5 says a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit is not. I repeat, it is not. What? Hold on. It is not a burger. A bacon, egg, and cheese is not a burger. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. Thank you guys who voted. Really, really appreciate it. All right. So we're going to wrap it up. We are going to wrap it up for tonight. I really, really appreciate everyone who tuned in. Let's go to full screen. But before we go, I have one more praise commentary to give on another Tech Barbarian. Let's call this Tech Barbarian A. And not A from the TV show Pretty Little Liars, because that A was absolutely crazy. But we're going to talk about my Tech Barbarian that we're going to call A. And here's what A has done in like, I think we've been working together for about maybe 2 months now. And I don't even need to put 5 minutes for this. I'm gonna wrap it up. But so I was able to and this is a part like I don't understand this. When like people want to be developers, they want to be CEOs, they want to be startups and stuff like that, and you're like, well, do you like, do you have like, are you going through the right processes? Do you have testing? I just want to go. I just want to go live. I just want to MVP and stuff like that. I'm like, well, let me help you help yourself. Let me plug in a tech barbarian on your team so that not only they can build experience, but you can actually start getting testing on your app, and like you'll never hear back from them. I am happy that the startup that I plugged in my tech barbarian did get back to me, and they were very interested in it. And I even like said, hey, we're not joining unless you make a sign NDA because I want you guys to be protected and things like that. Um, but yeah, so people just in general, outside of like just startups and stuff, people don't do what's in their best interest. Um, I make so many different resources available for people out there, and they don't take advantage of it. You know, they're like, for instance, when like in the Tech Barbarians group, I have a daily stand up bot that sends a message every day like, what did you work on yesterday? What are you kind of working on today? Do you have any obstacles? And only a handful of them actually use it on a regular basis. And I'm like, you're gonna have to do this meeting every single day. Why don't you start taking advantage of this now? Even with like the coaching calls, you have time available and you don't use it. You don't schedule your call. Like, I'm not gonna hunt you down. I'm not gonna force you to do what's in your own best interest. And then even outside of that, like, how many like YouTube videos that I put out there, scheduled the meetup, and handful of people showed up, and I'm like, why? Like, people will complain every single day, right? And to the point I have to make a video about. The more you complain, the more you're gonna continue to lose. And I'm like, you complain, but you don't do what's in your best interest. You don't show up and stuff like that, right? And it's like, why should and that's why me personally, I don't feel sorry for anybody. You know, Mitch might be a little bit more compassionate than me. I don't think so. He might be a little worse than me, but he might be a little bit more compassionate than me. But me, I don't feel like when people are crying, complaining, and crabbing and stuff like that, I'm like, what have you done? What did you do that's in your best interest? Like, what did you do to push yourself to the next level? Or are you just gonna be going and like, oh, give me a chance, give me a chance. And I'm like, nobody owes you anything. All right. But anyways, let me just touch on my tech barbarian right here, right? Hey, so plug them in with a startup, and just what was it? It was Saturday. We met up, and I'm like, all right, this is give them a crash course on how to use AWS Device Farm, how to load applications in there, so you can start testing and navigating around it, things like that. This is the type of work that we do, right? I try to get you, like, either you're working on one of my projects. So as I'm expanding on my mobile development, I might start pulling some like QA engineers who are interested in like the mobile aspect to like start getting experience testing that type of stuff, because mobile is the future, right? AI is the future. So coming up with these different things, but able to get them to get set up with AWS Device Farm, load a application. They reach out to the startup, say, hey, can I get the files I need to put the application on AWS so I can be able to test in iOS and Android and different types of devices, send them the app that I'm building so that they can start getting more experience and stuff like that. Testing APIs. Never did any of this stuff before. Testing APIs, getting ready to start writing automation, creating the structure, the testing structure and documentation for the startup. And what I'm going to tell them as well, once they get the files that they need to load into AWS for the startup, go ahead and create documentation on how you can use AWS Device Farm to navigate devices that you don't have. So and you can access devices from the US. You can access a bunch of different type of devices, stuff like that. Maybe what I'll do on one of these streams, take my apps file and load that into AWS Device Farm to give you guys a crash course, so oversight on how that works. But this is the type of work that my tech barbarians are doing. We have T, who is going through like a web app, getting Mongo installed, doing API calls, running the app, and then we have A, who is doing who is working on AWS Device Farm, like helping a startup get ramped up and just like first QA experience. And this is the type of work they're doing, right? And I back them up, and they schedule their coaching calls, and we meet, and guess what? Me and A, two totally different time zones, but we put in the work, and that's the type of mentality that I'm looking for, the drive that I'm looking for. If all you want to do is I'm applying for a job, I'm applying for a job, I'm applying for jobs. Okay, what work are you doing? I'm just applying for jobs. Well, that's not work, and it's going to be hard to help you grow, right? If you can't help yourself, then I really, really can't help you. All right. But just wanted to share the amazing work that my tech barbarians are doing. I am super, super proud of them. All right. And as we wrap it up, I'm going to read the comments and then we're going to get out of here. Right. So Mitch says, Greg said his boot camp is good so far. Mitch says, you definitely more mean than I don't know, Mitch. I don't know. We might be right here. We might be neck and neck. All right. We might be neck and neck. And Greg said, goes more in depth with hands-on approach. That's to me, the way that I learn is the way that I help you learn, do what I can. And we got D in the building. What's going on, D? We need to talk, D, because we need to talk. I haven't heard from you. All right. We need to talk. All right. So with that being said, as my main co-host said, the brick is going up. So as we wrap up, the question that I always have for you. The question is,
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
are you entertained? I think we're a little more than entertained. We are entertained. We got some amazing, amazing content tonight. Just a bunch of API stuff. If you have to watch it again, go back and watch it. Get the tools that I have. Postman, Talent API, Tester, a Google Chrome plugin, Insomnia, Get Rapid API, start like HTTP bin, Docker, all that. Just do it and leave me a comment. Let me know how it's going. If you need any help, if you need me to clarify on the next stream, let me know. I am here to help you. Okay. So with that being said, as Mitch already alluded to, he said, where is it? Mitch said, the brick is going up. And what does that mean? What does that mean that the brick is going up? Well, funny that you may ask. Yesterday's price is not, I repeat, it is not today's price. And today's price, we are out. You guys have an amazing, amazing night. I will be back live on Sunday. Tune in to the Bug Bite tomorrow, talking about, can you be jailed for the content you watch on YouTube? But on that note, this is Tech Coach Ralph, and we are out.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts. Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again. Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Hear me, warriors of the North. Today we have tasted the sweet nectar of victory. Our foes indeed defeated, and their lands are now bowed before us. The gods themselves have favored our glorious deeds on this glorious day. We have shed blood, sweat, and tears to claim this land. Our relentless spirit, our unyielding determination, these are the very essence of our people. Let's believe our ancestors rejoice in the halls of Valhalla, for today we have added to their eternal glory. Our victories will echo throughout the ages, and our names will be etched in the annals of history. But let us not forget the present pain that brothers and sisters we lost. They now feast in the hall of our forefathers, watching over us with pride. Their sacrifice has paved the way for this moment of triumph. As we celebrate this conquest, let us also remember that our journey is far from over. More land awaits our conquest, more battles call us forth, and the fire in our hearts burn ever brighter, for there is no limit to what we can achieve. To those who dare stand against us, and to tremble in fear, for they shall witness the fury of the northern storm, the wrath of the untamed barbarians. Today we celebrate our victory. Tomorrow we set our sights on new horizons, uncharted land where our banners will fly high. We are Vikings, we're barbarians, we are masters of conquest.